Hello and welcome back to Fabboss TV. Today we're sharing with you the Champion of Light encounter from recent raid testing within the Battle of Dazar'alor instance.
So this is the first encounter within the raid. The fight consists of a paladin, which is the main boss, and various little adds. In the very short time that we actually had while we were testing this boss, it feels that what's most important is controlling the adds throughout the fight and bursting damage onto the boss whenever possible. Let's jump into the encounter.
So we found it was best to tank the boss on one side of the room and the adds on the other. Whilst tanking the boss, you'll gain stacks of Sacred Blade. To frequently drop this dot, you need to tank swap, which is difficult considering all the adds that are currently on the other tank. We just found that it was best to allow the stacks to go on pretty high on a single tank and eventually drop at a later point when the boss starts to cast a long ability. We also played around with the idea of kiting the boss around to let them drop, which we should say actually does work, but it's probably something you'll not necessarily want to do when the boss hits live servers. We had our raid positioned so they were always facing towards the boss, but never directly between the boss and her adds, as on a timer she'll send a wave of light towards them. Getting hit by this wave will just make you take a burst of damage, but by standing on her side you'll never be hit. If the wave hits the add, it will heal them for a truckload as a 7-second hot. Ideally you'll move the adds away every single time, but they are casters so it's not always easy. This hot can however be dispelled, so watch out for it if the wave does hit them. The boss will also place Divine Protection on the adds throughout the fight to make them take 99% less damage for 6 seconds. You just got to notice where it is and damage the other add whilst it's up. It's not a huge deal.
So let's talk about the adds. The fight always starts with 1 Crusader and 2 Disciples, and the boss will spawn more sets of them throughout the fight. The Disciples have 3 interruptible casts. Divine Burst is the least important as it simply just deals a burst of damage. Penance will either damage a player or will heal an ally. You'll want to interrupt this every time it's healing an add, and their heal cast should be interrupted every time possible. As for the Crusader, he has 2 main abilities. When he casts Blinding Faith, it will cause all players that are faced towards him to be disoriented for 5 seconds. You just need to turn away before the cast is finished, or just look at the boss the entire time this guy's up. He'll also place large consecration patches on the ground. It's important to move all the adds out of these patches as fast as you possibly can, as they act as a 50% damage reduction zone for them. The consecration patches don't seem to affect the boss, but you still need to keep the boss away because of the boss's seals. Throughout the fight, the boss will cycle through 2 different seals, swapping between them every time she gets to 100% energy and casts a signature spell. She starts off with Seal of Retribution, which generates an aura which buffs nearby adds. This is why you have to tank them apart. The seal also periodically deals light ticking damage to the raid. At 100% energy she'll cast Judgment Righteousness, which applies a massive buff to one of the adds. The moment you identify which add has this buff, you want to swap to it and immediately kill it off. Now when any adds die during the boss's Seal of Retribution, it will buff the boss with 20 stacks of Zealotry. This flat out increases the boss's holy damage by 2% per stack. As a result, during this first seal you'll want to damage the adds very slowly, whilst primarily damaging the boss. When she changes to her next seal, which is Seal of Reckoning, you'll want to immediately swap to the adds and kill them all off, focusing on the add that was buffed by the Judgment Righteousness first. This new seal that she's using causes her to gain Zealotry stacks whenever she's hit by any player that doesn't have the tank stacks. And if you ignore this and continue to hit her, you'll notice that these stacks go up extremely fast. The idea here is that you kill off the adds before she changes back to the original seal and spawns the next set of adds. When she does get to 100% energy, she'll cast her final signature spell, which is Judgment Reckoning. This just deals a flat amount of damage to the entire raid. This is the primary reason why you need to keep stacks low, as otherwise this ability might just one-shot you. The fight just repeats from this point onwards, with the only change being that she will cast Wings at 30% health, which increases her damage by 30%, which is another reason why you'll want to manage the Zealotry stacks across the fight the best you can.